want to start off with a question. And the question is, what is the most valuable and most important work that you do? And this is kind of a trick question, but the answer is thinking. Your ability to think is the most important thing that you do in the whole world, because the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your decisions. And the quality of your decisions determines the quality of your actions, and the quality of your actions determines the quality of your results. And your results are everything. In business, we can talk about many things, but in the final analysis, it is financial results that are most important in business. Maybe not in personal life, maybe not in medicine, but in business we always think in terms of numbers. And the quality of your results is determined by the quality of your thinking. Many years ago, I began to study the subject of time management because I thought it was a very helpful subject. And I was amazed at how much there was in time management. I then produced programs and books, and my books on time management are now the best-selling in the world in 40 languages. But what I learned was a concept, and the concept was called consequences. Consequences, I found, is one of the most important words in our world. And the reason is that in time management, something is important to the degree to which it has big potential consequences. And something is unimportant to the degree to which it has low or no consequences. Thinking has the greatest consequences of all. In fact, if you look at people who are successful and people who are unsuccessful, successful people do things that have greater long-term consequences. And unsuccessful people do things that have low or no consequences. And thinking has the greatest consequences of all. So what I want to give you is I want to give you a series of thinking tools. At Harvard University, they did an interesting study over a period of 50 years to find out why some people moved up financially in their lives and why some countries move up financially. And what they found with regard to people is that it had to do with vocabulary. And a wise man once asked me, what is the purpose of words in human life? And people said, well, to communicate. He said, yes, he said, but it's more than that, because a word is a condensed thought. And one word can have many meanings. Think of the words like love and freedom, family, and success. I mean, these can fill entire books and libraries. So he said, every word that you know is a condensed thought. The more words that you know, the better you can think, because you can put these words together into more complex thoughts. As a result, you can think better and make better decisions. So what they found is that worldwide is people who have the very best vocabularies rise to the top of their societies. The more words that you learn and understand, the better you can think, the better results you get, the better life you have. Well, at the same time, the things we'll talk about today are like words. They're condensed thoughts. They're ideas that apply to business. And when you take these and you put them together, you can think much better about getting results in business. So let us begin. When I started off, I started my own business in 1978. And I say when I started my own business for the first time, after working for other companies for many years, I learned how to sell again. I had to sell my house, I sold my car, I sold my furniture. I sold everything that I had, and I had to borrow from my friends and family to stay alive. And I was shocked, because there are maybe 50, 100 million businesses in the world. What could be hard about starting a business? And it was amazing. What I learned is every new business startup starts off with great hopes and then immediately goes into a dive, like an airplane diving toward the ground. And the job of the business owner at the beginning is to try to stop the airplane from crashing. Crashing means you run out of money and you can't get any more money, and so you crash. They find that 80% of new businesses fail worldwide. Why? It's because the people lose all their money before they figure out how to make a profit. Now, if you find out how to earn more money than it is costing you to be in business, it's like an airplane. You pull the airplane out of the dive and and your business starts to grow. And this is called the sigmoid curve. Your business goes into a decline phase, which is the growth phase, where you are learning at an incredible rate. By the way, when you start a business, get married, introduce a new product or service, start a new job. You go into this very fast learning phase, and then as you learn, you start to turn and you start to come out and you begin to grow. The business begins to grow. It's actually, see if I can do it like this. It's very important. This curve determines all of life. We say it's like this, and you start here with high hopes and enthusiasm. You immediately go into a dive. If you can find a way to make more money than it's costing you, you pull this out. You go into a growth phase and then to a decline. All businesses, all products, all careers, all lives. This is the law of life. And here's an interesting thing. All businesses will level off. Why do I think of the word Nokia? Okay. Why? It's because Nokia went through its growth phase, its learning phase very rapidly, began to grow, became one of the most popular phone companies in the world, the miracle of technology, and then for various reasons they flattened out and began to decline. Once this decline begins, by the way, it is very hard to turn around. It's like an aircraft that runs out of fuel. It starts to die. And then they begin to struggle. When you go into a business, by the way, you can go and you can analyze the business and find out what phase it's in by asking 3 to 5 questions. Most companies that I go to are either here or here. but this phase is what I found is this, is that when you are in this growth phase and you are growing rapidly, this is the time where you must be the most alert. Because it's right here where you are the most successful and making the most profits that you must begin a new phase and begin developing new products, new services moving forward. I read a very interesting thing. I was going to say I was late for this seminar because I was walking the streets looking for the new Lumia. Nobody can find it. It seems to be hidden somewhere, the new Nokia phone. And the interesting thing I read is that Nokia developed the one-touch telephone. The engineers developed the one-touch telephone. They developed the technology for the iPad. Is that true? Say yes. Yeah, the most interesting thing. Why didn't they develop it? Well, because they were at this stage and they said, we're so rich, we don't need that new technology. Besides, they said it might take away from our existing business. A major reason that businesses fail, by the way, is they do not want to develop a new product or service because they're afraid that it may take away from their existing products or services. And then they think no one else in the world will come up with this. Kodak developed digital photography in 1986. I was speaking to a senior executive of Kodak, and they went up and said, we have digital photography. I said, no, it will take away from the film business. So you go back to your laboratory and you work on something else. And so Kodak is now bankrupt, and other companies are making a fortune on digital technology. Kodak was first. Nokia was first. Drives you crazy. So, starting a new business, here you are, and then this is where you want to be. And at this stage, you must say, now, what is going to be my new product, my new service? Gillette Corporation, the ones that make the razors, they say their goal is to put themselves out of business every 2 to 3 years before their competitors put them out of business. Develop a new product, a new service, a new technology. And today, we have to be very, very fast because things are moving so quickly. So your question is, where are you? The interesting thing is that 90% of businesses started by people with business experience succeed. Very, very high success rate if you have business experience because you can go through these curves very quickly. And I'm going to give you some ideas that help you to get to here. This is where you want to be. Growing, high profits, great future, wonderful prospects. Is that a good goal? Say yes. Yes. So the most important thing that you do is thinking, and the more thinking tools you have, the better you can think, the better results you can get. So second question is, what is the most important part of this conference? Well, the answer is what you do afterwards. It's what you do afterwards. It is the actions that you take. And one of the most important things that I've learned is that successful people are intensely action-oriented. They're always thinking in terms of taking action. Unsuccessful people tend to be more passive, and they wait for things to happen. And they have reasons not to take action. They have always reasons to wait and to procrastinate. But leaders are very action-oriented. Now here's an interesting discovery for me, is that when you take action, the fact is nothing works. at least it doesn't work the first time. And sometimes it doesn't work the first 5 or 10 times. But you have to take action. We say that leaders do not like to fail, but they recognize that failure is indispensable. You cannot succeed without failing. So they're willing to take action, and they say take action, get feedback, correct, and take more action. 3 wonderful things happen when you take action on a new idea. The first thing is that you get immediate feedback, which helps you to change your course. Second thing that happens is that you get ideas to help you to be more effective. It's the most amazing thing. And the third thing that happens is it raises your self-confidence and it gives you energy. So you get 3 great benefits from taking action. And the action simply means take the first step. If you have an idea, take the first step. The first step is the major difference between success and failure in life. But I took 4,000 hours of courses. I read hundreds of books and articles, and I began to put together basically a recipe for business success. And what I found, like a recipe, in this case, 7 ingredients. If you have all the ingredients of the recipe and you mix them in the proper proportion, then you get great results. And if you don't, it won't taste good. In many cases, you go bankrupt. And that is why companies go bankrupt. So in the time that we have, I want to just sort of share with you a series of ideas, like words, and I want you to think if these can be helpful to you. And the first thing I learned is that in order to build a successful business, you must become a great leader. And leaders are highly overrated. I believe that a leader is simply a person who can get results. And so I've studied leadership, and I've studied military leadership, great military leaders, great business leaders. And at the bottom analysis is leaders can get results. So in studying leadership, I found that leaders have 7 key qualities, or 7 key responsibilities that make them valuable. A failure in any one of these areas leads to a failure of leadership. So let me just give them to you quickly. The first is that leaders have the ability to set and achieve business goals. They have the ability to set and achieve business goals. When you look at the fact that many companies are changing their leaders, more than 50% of big companies in the last 10 years have fired their top executives. It's because why? They went back and Fortune magazine did a study and they found it's because they did not get results. They were hired and put in that position to get certain financial results and they did not achieve it, so they replaced them and brought in someone else. So number 1 is to set and achieve business goals, and everyone who is required to achieve the goal must be clear about the goal. Some years ago, I had an opportunity to do some of these big seminars with 20 and 25,000 people, and one of the other speakers was General Norman Schwarzkopf, who was the general in charge of the military Operation Desert Storm against Iraq in 1991. And after he retired from the Army, he began giving speeches on leadership. Amazing man, amazing man. He had under his control, he had something like 350,000 troops under his control in the Desert War. And he explained to me something interesting. He said they spent 6 months of planning, 6 months, where they planned every day. And all the key people were involved in the planning. And then they went back and they explained the plans to the soldiers, so that every soldier, every airman, every Marine knew the plan. And then when they launched the plan, the 2nd biggest army in the world defeated the 4th biggest army in the world in 103 hours, which is the fastest that has ever happened in all of human history. I mean, every other general just threw up their hands. How could you ever beat that? And it was because everybody knew the plan, and the plan was clear. So one of the most important things that you do as leaders in your business is make sure that everyone is clear about your goals, and everyone is clear about how they're expected to contribute to the goals. I sometimes do an exercise with managers, and the exercise is called, it's a game, and it's called Keep Your Job. Now, I'll explain to you the rules of the game, and then you can tell me if you would like to play. Okay? Well, the rules are this, is you will write down the names of the people who work for you, and you'll write down their 3 most important job responsibilities or goals. Okay? And you give me that list. And while you sit here, I will then go and talk to these people who work for you, and I will ask them to tell me what their 3 most important goals are. And if their answers and your answers are the same, you get to keep your job. Would anybody like to play? I have never found a manager, in 60 countries, I have never found a manager who wants to play keep your job. Because they don't know if their staff knows what they're supposed to do. Well, the second quality of leaders is that they have the ability to innovate and market. Innovate means finding better, faster, cheaper, easier ways to accomplish the same result. One of the greatest enemies of human success, there's several, but one of the greatest is called the comfort zone. And the comfort zone is we get comfortable doing things a certain way, and we resist change. And we have to be really, really aware of this, because someone says, why don't we do it this way or that way? No, we resist automatically because we become comfortable. They did a study of leaders a few years ago, one of the best ever done, and the conclusion they came to was that leaders are aware of the danger of the comfort zone, so they continually move themselves out by setting bigger goals. They set big goals. So I would suggest to you, whatever business you're in, set a goal to double the size of your business. Set a goal to double the size of your business in 3 to 5 years. Now, people say, well, that's ridiculous. We've got a difficult economy, competition. Just set a goal. The interesting thing is, when you set a goal, it forces you to think bigger. It forces you to think out of your comfort zone. It forces you to be open to different possibilities that you hadn't thought of before. Here's one of my favorite graphs that applies to personal life, and it applies to business life as well. And basically it says that this is income, all right, over time, and this is time. And each company is on a particular growth path. When you start your career, by the way, when you start your career, you start off earning something, and then most people's personal income is like a bad week or a bad month on the stock market. Their income is like this, up and down, up and down, up and down. They're earning money, a lot of money, little money, a lot of money. And over the course of life, a person's lifetime, their income goes up at about 3% per annum if they're employed. If your income goes up at 3% each year, you never get out of debt, you never become successful. However, there's also a growth path. And this growth path is about 10% to 25% per annum. And this path is determined by knowledge plus skill. And the interesting thing is, the way you get off of this path, which is 80% of the population or more, and get onto this path, is by continually developing your knowledge and skill. The very best leaders will tell you that leaders are learners. According to a great study at the University of Chicago, the top 20% of people are on this growth path, is they're constantly upgrading their knowledge and skills in their business. And I could spend the rest of the day talking about this, but just one point is that you have to be continually asking this question. There's 25 years of research on this. The question is, what one skill would help you the most to make a greater contribution in your work right now? What one skill would help you the most to double your income? Or what one skill would help you the most to grow your business more rapidly? It's usually marketing. It's usually the development of better technology. It usually has to do with getting customers. But you have to keep asking, what one skill will help me? And then focus on developing one skill at a time. And this is the key discovery, is that top leaders focus on the one skill that can help them the most at this moment. Solve problems and make decisions. And this is the third major responsibility of leaders, is that all that stands between you and any of your goals is problems, difficulties, obstacles, challenges, the market, the competition, people. So your ability to solve problems largely determines your success or failure in life. Is that leadership is the ability to solve problems. That success is the ability to solve problems. So if I were to take your business cards, I know the job description of everyone in this room. Everyone here is a problem solver. That's all you do from morning to night. In fact, your ability to rise in life, like passing through school, is determined by your ability to pass the tests at each level. And if you keep solving the problems at your level, you get promoted to solve bigger problems. In fact, all you get in life for solving problems is bigger problems to solve. But with bigger problems comes greater responsibility, greater income, greater influence, greater authority. So how do you become an excellent problem solver? And this is, it's a subject I love. I trained IBM all over the country on problem solving. I know a little bit about the subject. And the answer is simply this: think about solutions. Focus on the solutions. Most people, when they have a problem, they immediately say, who did it? Who's to blame? Why did this happen? They become angry, they become depressed, they blame other people, but not leaders. Leaders say, what's the solution? And the more you think about solutions, the more creative you become. The more you think, what can we do now? What action can we take? What's the solution? Okay, it's happened. Rule for success, never worry about a past event that you can't change. Focus on what you can change, and you can change the present and the future. So always focus on the solution. Question, by the way, does anybody here have any problems? Of course, of course. Now, interestingly enough, within every problem is contained the answer or the solution to that problem. Within every problem you have, there is an advantage or opportunity, if you find it. Within every problem you have in business or personal life, there's a lesson that you can learn that can help you in the future. So what is the difference? Is top people think about the lessons, the possibilities, what they can gain from the problem, and how to solve it. Average people think about what happened and who's to blame. So your job is simply like a searchlight. Take your brain and constantly think of what are all the solutions. My favorite exercise is this, by the way. Like this is not even in my talk, but it'll make you rich. Is take whatever your problem is and write it at the top of the page in the form of a question. Let's say you want to double the size of your profitability in the next 3 to 5 years. So say, how can we double our profitability by December 31st, 2015? Be very specific about the amount and the time. And then write 20 answers. I call this the 20 idea method. Just keep writing 20 answers. Sometimes I'll come up with 30 answers. When I take management and companies through this, they'll come up with 30 or 40 answers. Just take and develop 20 answers to the question, and you will be amazed. You say, well, we could do this. By the way, there's 4 ways to change your life or your business. Only 4. And here they are. Number 1, you can do more of certain things. Number 2, you can do less of other things. So what should you do more of? Do more of the things that you're getting the best results from. What should you do less of? Do less of the things that you're not getting good results from. Number 3 is you can start doing something completely new. But because of the comfort zone, people are very reluctant to start something new. And you have to overcome that. What could you start doing that you're not doing today? New products, new services, new markets, new technologies. And number 4, and this sometimes is incredible, is stop doing certain things altogether. Here's a rule in life, is you can only get your life under control by stopping doing things. You cannot become more efficient or more effective and do more things. You've got to stop doing things of low value or no value. Stop doing things that don't work anymore. And so stopping things completely are the key. So when you start to write out your answers here, you say, what could we do more? What could we do less of? What could we start doing? What could we stop doing? Just keep writing answers until you can't think of any more answers. But I promise you this, when you start doing this exercise, your brain will light up like a Christmas tree. You'll become more creative, you'll become brighter, your brain will release endorphins. You will be amazed at how intelligent you really are when you start writing down answers. And then take at least one answer and take action immediately. If you'll just do this on any problem or goal that you have in life today, write it as a question, write 20 answers to the question, and take action on one. This is the greatest success principle in creative thinking I've ever seen. I have never had a problem or difficulty for myself or for my clients that has not been resolved with this simple action. All it requires is a piece of paper, a pen, and a little bit of self-discipline. The 4th key of leadership is to set priorities. Set priorities on the use of time and money and resources. In my work in time management, 30 years of study, I found that all of time management can be boiled down to a single principle, the ability to set priorities. What do you do first? What do you do second? And what do you do not at all? And the job of the leader is to set the priorities. Is what are we going to do more of or less of? What are we going to start doing or stop doing? Because it's not the job of the staff to think about these things. It's your job. The 5th key is to focus and concentrate. Now, to focus and concentrate is really the key to greatness as an individual. is to be able to focus and concentrate your energies and resources on one thing, the most important thing, and stay at it until it's done. Your ability to be a role model is to be an example to other people. When you become a leader, you have to raise, you have to raise your game, is you have to raise the bar on your own behavior, because morale in a business flows down from the top. It does not rise. Is that morale is determined by the leader, and people need and want to admire their bosses. They want to admire their leaders and their managers. So when you are working your way up, you can be more casual, but when you become a leader, everyone is watching you. They're watching you out of the corner of their eye. They're watching to see if you are setting a standard for us. So if you want other people to be punctual, you must be punctual. If you want other people to work on their top priorities, you must work on your top priorities. If you want other people to treat each other well and be friendly and be respectful, then you must be friendly and respectful. You set the tone for your whole business. And in many studies, they say that being a role model is the most important job a leader has. If you have children, what I discovered when I had my first children was that your model will have more of an influence on the development of their character than anything you say. You can talk all day long, but they just watch you. And they watch you and they model themselves at an unconscious level on your behavior. So if you want your children to turn out well, be a good role model for them. And the final requirement for leadership is the ability to perform and get results. So the greatest question of leaders is always, what results are expected of me? What results are expected of me? Not activities, but what are the results? And of all the results that are expected of you, what are the most important results? In time management, there's a great question, and I think it's a question that is one of the most important I've ever heard. It's this, is what is it that I, and only I, can do that, if done well, will make a real difference? This is something that no one else can do, and no one else will do it. But if you do it, and you do it really well, it can make a major difference in your business and in your life. And there's always an answer to this question. And this is usually the most important thing that you could do to contribute to your company. Peter Drucker had this wonderful observation. He said, if you just change the word in business from success to contribution, you'll solve all your problems. And I think that the word contribution is one of the greatest words in our lives. What can you do to increase the value of your contribution to your business, to your friends, to your family, to your community? Because there's a wonderful thing, Hans Peter and I were talking about this, is the more you contribute to your world, the better you feel about yourself. All human beings want to be happy. And how do we become happy? Well, happy is just a byproduct of making a valuable contribution to the lives of other people. What is the key to business success? 90% of business success is to have a great product or service in the first place. And the reason this is such a shocker to me was because I was surrounded by a lot of entrepreneurs who were looking for smart, clever, tricky ways to sell their product, but not focusing on making the product excellent. And over the years, I have studied the subject of product quality and the relationship between product quality and sales and profitability. There's more than 50 years of research at Harvard, and they did a series of studies, and they're called the profit implication studies. Basically, what are the different things that companies do? And they studied thousands of companies that seem to be consistent with high levels of profitability. And what they found was that there's the highest single correlation in profitability is perceived product quality. Is if people think that your products are high quality, they are going to buy more of them. They are going to buy them faster at less costs of advertising or promotion. They are going to pay more money willingly. They'll put the money in your hands, and you'll have high levels of profitability. Here's a great question. What is the most important sale to a customer? Of all the sales that you make, what's the most important sale? And the answer is the second sale. The first sale you can get through discounts, deceit, advertising, promotion, aggressive sales techniques. You can always get the first sale. But the second sale, when the customer comes back and buys from you again, is when the customer says, you kept your promise. Your product did deliver what you said it would do when I bought it the first time, and I'm back. So the second sale is the most important thing. All top business people think about the second and the third and the fourth sale while they're making the first sale. So having a great product is the key. Now, how can you predict the future of your business? It's real simple. Ask yourself what percentage of people who use your product afterwards say, this is a great product. What percentage of people describe your product as a great product? Great, excellent, wonderful. Or a great service. Or when they do business with your company, they say, that is a great company. I like that company. Because this is the #1 single factor that determines your success, is the percentage of your customers who describe you as a great company with great products or services. So, you take your 20 idea method and you say, what could we do to be sure that everyone describes our product as a great product, or our service as a great service, or our company as a great company? What can we do? And just think of all the answers. Now, here's a great question that you can ask, is you can ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer, do you feel that our product or service was a great product or service? Customers, by the way, will make you rich if you ask them. If you ask them for their opinion. Mostly, we don't ask because we don't want to know. Okay? So we ask, we say, on a scale of 1 to 10, was this a great product or service? Was this a great experience for you? And if the customer says, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give you a 6 or a 7. Well, that's not very high, but it's better than a 3 or a 4. So I give you a 6 or a 7, and then what question do you ask? What would we have to do to earn a 10 in your estimation? And you know what? Your customers will tell you, well, if you want me to give you a 10, you have to do more of this or less of that. You'd have to start doing this or stop doing that. And if you do what your customers tell you to do, they will then say, this is a great product. By the way, there's years of research on this simple concept. So if all you have is one focus in life, is to get people to say afterwards, this was a great product. So number 3 is to develop a great business plan. And a great business plan, everybody is told you have to have a business plan if you want to be successful, and most entrepreneurs, most business people are conceptual. They're right-brain thinkers. They don't like the idea of business planning. So they've developed now systems where you can do a business plan in 1 hour. Very simple business plan. But a business plan is essential because it forces you to think about the most important parts of your business. And in many cases, when you do a good business plan, you'll find that this business won't work. A good friend of mine who started with nothing, came from a poor family, and is today very, very wealthy, was telling me that he spent 6 months planning to go into a new business. And it looked like a good business. On the surface, it seemed to be quite profitable. And so he began doing research. And he did very, very detailed research. He was going to invest $50 million in this business. And he had the money lined up and ready to go. But after he had done the research, after 6 months, he finally decided that no, this is not a good business to go into at this time. And he threw it away and went on with something else. He said it's much better not to go into a business after doing your research than to go into a business without research and find out what happens. So what he did was he decided no, and he took all of the investment that he had spent in doing the business planning and just threw it away. And he says one of the smartest things he ever did. A very wise man once told me, the best businesses that you go into are the ones you decide not to. The best business decisions you ever make are the ones where you decide not to go into a particular business. So a business plan basically forces you to ask, what is the product that I plan to sell? Who is the customer that I plan to sell it to? How much can I charge? And how profitable will it be? How much will it cost to produce the product? How much will it cost to market and sell the product? How much will it cost to deliver and service the product? And asking these questions forces you to think. It forces you to think better. And if you're doing this, imagine that someone else is going to be very critical and demand to know where this number came from. Many people start off with an idea that this is a great product idea, and then they create the product or launch the product, and they find that it's not a great product because people don't buy it. I'll tell you a great story. A friend of mine immigrated from England to Vancouver, Canada, and he started off selling advertising in specialty magazines. He was in his 20s and he knocked on doors and he sold advertising. Boat magazines, motorcycle magazines, home design magazines. He worked for a company that had specialty magazines and he sold advertising many years ago. And finally, after 3 or 4 years, he realized that if you can sell advertising, that's the most important part of magazines. So he could start his own magazine. So he did. And he worked very hard building his advertising for his magazine, and it became a little bit profitable. And he had enough money to go to an international conference on magazines in New York. So he saved his money, he flew the cheapest way possible, he stayed in a little hotel around the corner from the convention center, and he went to this convention center where they had the representatives of the biggest magazines in the world talking about the magazine market. And so he went from session to session to session, listening like a little child at Christmas time. He was just so fascinated, because here he was a little businessman with a little magazine in a little town. And he said he went into one session that was being conducted by an accountant. I never forgot this story. And the accountant, there was not very many people were in the session, and the accountant was talking about profit and loss in the magazine industry. And he said, if you look at your balance sheet, what do we call this line at the top of the balance sheet? And they said, that's the top line, that's the sales. And what do we call this? He said, well, this is called the bottom line, this is profit or loss. He said, yes. He said, now what I want you to do is I want you to turn them over and put the bottom line at the top, and then everything else underneath it. So this is what they did. Very simple thinking tool is they took the balance sheet, took the balance sheet, and at the top, your columns like this and so on. And here were the sales. And he said, but here you put your profits. Profits by month. Is the profits that you want to earn. Then below that, you have the sales that you're going to have to achieve to get the profits. And below that, all the costs of achieving the sales all the way down here. But you start with your profits being your top line. So instead of at the end of the month saying how much profit did we earn, you start off at the beginning of the month and saying this is the amount of profit we want to earn. What will we have to do to achieve that profit? He said he took that idea back, he applied it to his little business. Today he owns 32 magazines. He's one of the wealthiest people in the city and one of the most respected people in the business community. I went and spoke for him. He had 330 executives from his magazine empire. He said, we have never had a loss in a magazine in a month or a quarter or a half year or a year. Every single magazine executive, every manager is focused on the profits before everything else. The reason I pass that on to you is because it is a great concept. He said that this one concept from one accountant in one session made him rich. Because most people wait until the end of the month and say, how much money did we earn? What he said, what he does, every single person starts off with a profit responsibility at the beginning of the month, and then what will we have to do to achieve that profit? Just a thought. So a business plan is essential, and with regard to a business plan, I want to give you a concept which to me is so important. It's considered by many to be one of the most important concepts in business, and I call it the number. Jim Collins, who wrote the book Good to Great, calls it the economic denominator, but I had been teaching this in my business courses for 10 years before he wrote about it. I'm not saying that he got the idea from me, because all smart people use the same concept. So we call this the number. And the question is, what is your number? What is your number? What is your number? And this number is the one number that more predicts success or failure in your business than any other single number. What is the number? And I've worked out that there's about 35 different numbers that companies use. There may be more, but there's about 35. If you get the wrong number, or you're focused on the wrong number, what happens is you go off in a completely wrong direction, and your business will not succeed, and sometimes it will fail. I'll give you a very simple example. I was doing it in a strategic planning session recently, and we brought in a strategic planner for this company that I'm on the board of directors with. And his whole idea was to increase the level of sales. And so we talked all day about different things that we could do to increase our sales. And everyone was quite happy with that. This was the sales goal for this year and next year, this month. And then one of the directors, very smart guy, said, I don't think that this is the right number, the sales number. Well, what number do you think is the right number? He said, I think the profitability number is more important. Is that we should be focused on profits, not on sales. Because you can have very high levels of sales and be losing money. But if you have high levels of profits, profits are real numbers. And everybody in the room went, of course. We were looking at the wrong number. Because you can spend too much. Have you noticed that each year you read about companies that are huge companies that are doing billions of dollars in sales or billions of euros, and they're reporting huge losses? Have you seen that? You see it all the time. How can this be? They're making so many sales. Because do you know why? Their focus is on the sales number, not on the profit number. And as a result, they can actually go bankrupt. And many of these companies do. How do retail businesses estimate? What is their number? Well, for example, Apple today retail stores, they focus on sales per square foot. That's what we use. Their sales per square foot in Apple stores are the highest in the history of the world. They're $4,650 per square foot. The second highest in the world is about $3,000 per square foot. Apple's is substantially more. So they focus on sales per square foot. Other people focus on sales per customer. In other words, how much does each customer buy? Other companies will focus on sales per person. Some companies will focus on return on investment, the amount of money invested in the business, or the most popular number is return on equity, the amount of money that the owners have invested in the business. What is their rate of return? If you look at real estate, there's all kinds of numbers. So the question is, what is your number? What's the most important number in your business that predicts your current success and predicts your future? And if you get the wrong number, you can go off in the wrong direction. If your focus is to increase sales, which is the focus of most businesses, you can get more sales. All you have to do is advertise enormous amounts and sell your product below cost. That's a very clever strategy. That will last for a couple of months before you're bankrupt. So what is your number? What's the most important number? Here's an interesting concept. Good people are free. Good people are free. Poor people are expensive. But good people are free, and they're not only free, they're free plus a profit. Good people contribute far more in value than you pay them. Not only do they contribute their own income, their own salary, but they contribute much more. So if you take a course in microeconomics at the university, which I did, they'll find that a company can keep hiring people as long as each person is free plus a profit. As long as each person is contributing more than they cost, the company will continue to hire. If the economy recedes, then they have to let people go until they reach a point where each person is contributing more than they cost. It's really simple. So what is your job and my job in the world of work is to contribute more than we cost. And the greater the distance between how much we cost and how much more we contribute, the more valuable we are. So all successful people financially are people who are free plus a profit. And companies will hire you and pay you more money. Someone comes to me and says, I want you to earn $50,000 a year. I say, sure, I'll pay you $50,000 if you can earn me $100,000. As long as you are free plus a profit, I will hire you. It's a very simple equation. If you're not, I can't afford to hire. And number 4 is attract great people. Attracting great people is So important. And it is an art, and it is a science, and it is something that you learn from experience. When you start off in business, as I did, you'll find that your ability to hire the right people is very low, and you make a lot of mistakes. You hire the wrong people, you keep them there for too long, you put them in the wrong jobs, you pay them too much money. We say that 85% of our problems in life come with hair on top. In other words, they're other people problems. And new managers make a lot of mistakes in hiring. So we say 95% of your success will be determined by the people that you hire to work for you. And the very best companies hire the best people. And the second best companies hire the second best people. And the third best companies are on their way out of business. So learning how to interview and select and hire people is a core skill for business. If you cannot do that, you haven't got a chance. But if you can do it, and you can do it well, you can grow and grow and grow. I can give you 100 keys on this. I teach multiple courses on it. I will just say this, that the starting point of hiring the right people is to make a list of the right person. There's 3 things you always want to look at in hiring a person. First of all, what results will they be expected to get for you? And be very specific about the results and make them measurable. What's the number for results? Number 2 is what skills will they need to have to get the results that you require? Not skills that they can develop in the future, but you want to hire people who already have proven skills. When you do background checks, when you check references, the question you're looking for is, has this person achieved the same results somewhere else before they came to you? Because that's all that matters in your business, not if they're a nice person and have a great personality. Biggest mistake we make is we're overly influenced by nice people. And we hire nice people who are completely incompetent. They can't do anything except be nice people. And it usually takes about 6 months to realize that you've hired an incompetent, nice person. Standard rule. Anyway. So, make sure that they have the previous experience that proves that they can get the results. And then the third part, we call this the golden triangle. If you're looking for the law of 3 in hiring, they are, first of all, skills. First of all, the results that you want people to get, the skills that they must have to get those results, and then the personality. And personality is very important. The most important thing to hire is to hire nice people, hire pleasant people, positive people. But make sure that you're clear that of the results that you want them to get, the 3 most important results, and the skills they'll have to have. Number 5 is to create a great marketing plan. And if you look at business strategy, you'll find that all of business strategy is marketing strategy. Marketing strategy is different from sales. By the way, what is marketing strategy? Do you know? Well, marketing strategy is the ability to attract customers to your product or service. It's like attraction, it's like magnetism. How do you get people to raise their hand and say, I am interested in your product or service? And this requires the most important of all thinking that you do. Every major mistake in business is a mistake in marketing. They make a mistake in either selling the wrong product or to the wrong people at the wrong price, in the wrong place, in the wrong way. I'll give you a great example. One of my favorite examples is Steve Jobs, when he developed the iPod. You know, when he came back into Apple in 1997, and I just reading a book called The Greatest Business Decisions Ever Made. One of the greatest business decisions in that book was bringing Steve Jobs back into Apple in 1997 when the company was in serious trouble. It's interesting, the company was almost out of money when they brought him in, and he was still a major shareholder. So he came in, and as you know, Steve Jobs was a very difficult person, very highly opinionated, and he was a difficult person, and he hated Bill Gates. Because Bill Gates and he started at the same time, about 1986, Apple and Microsoft. And Bill Gates decided to have an open architecture that everybody could develop programs for Microsoft product. And Steve Jobs decided to have closed architecture so they could capture more profits by having exclusive control of the architecture. And so the rest is history, is they were very successful. Apple products, computers, beautiful products. People loved the products, but they had a closed architecture and limited amount of software. Bill Gates opened up the software and everybody in the world used it. 20 years later, Bill Gates had 90% of the world market, and Steve Jobs and Apple were almost bankrupt. So anyway, Steve Jobs comes back into Apple, and Apple has 104 products. Every time somebody said, could you make a product for us, they would go to work and build a new product. New factories, new manufacturing, new science, new 104 products. So he looked at two things. First of all, we have far too many products, and second of all, we're out of money. So you know what he did? Is he called Bill Gates. He said, called him, and he didn't like him. I had to grit his teeth. Bill, yes? He said, we're almost broke, we need some money. Bill Gates said, how much money do you need? He said, we need $150 million to get through the year. He said, okay, I'll give it to you. He said, I don't think it's a good idea for Apple to go out of business. And he signed the check and sent him $150 million. And saved Apple. Even though Steve Jobs had been attacking him for years and years and years. That's the mark of why Bill Gates is such a great businessman. And then the next thing that Steve Jobs did was he said we're going to reduce the product line to 4 products. And he eliminated 100 products. And they all went crazy. He said, you can't do it. But he did it. And then he said, then we're going to introduce new products. And he came out with the iPod, which had music. But in order to have the iPod, he had to have iTunes, so that there was something to put onto the iPod at 99 cents each. And nobody had ever heard of something like this, so they looked at the marketing, what can we do? And he finally came up, and Steve Jobs came up with this, 1,500 songs in your pocket. That's our advertising line. 1,500 songs in your pocket. Sold 50 million copies, transformed Apple, turned it into one of the most profitable companies in the world. Then they came out with a telephone, the same phone that Nokia had developed some years ago. So in marketing, basically, you're looking for 4 things. First of all, it's called specialization. Specialize in a particular product or service or customer. Specialize. What is the biggest retail operation in the world? Do you know? It's Walmart. Walmart is the biggest private company in the history of the world, 1.4 million employees, the biggest retailer in the history of the world. Walmart has one focus in terms of specializing. They specialize in customers who live from paycheck to paycheck. That's their internal strategy. I've worked with Walmart. Wonderful people, by the way. They have this obsession with getting prices lower for people who live from paycheck to paycheck. People who don't have any extra money. People who can't buy something that doesn't work. Walmart has an unconditional refund guarantee for everything you buy from Walmart. No questions asked. They want to make it so easy for people to buy good quality products at low prices. So that's their specialization. They don't sell to wealthy people. They don't sell to businesses. They sell to people who have limited incomes, who live from one paycheck to the next. And in the US, I don't know what it is in Finland, but 70% of the population lives from paycheck to paycheck. So that's a pretty good market to go after, wouldn't you say? 70% of the population? Big, most successful company in the world. Well, you have to specialize in a product or a service or a customer, particular customer. McDonald's specializes in people who want to eat quickly, good quality, inexpensive, clean, good value, and they want to eat quickly. They don't try to be a gourmet restaurant. They just serve that level of people who want to eat quickly and eat good food, reasonably good food. Biggest restaurant chain in the world by specializing clarity. Second is differentiation. The second part of marketing is differentiation, and that means that your product or service is superior in at least 3 ways to your competitors. And the area of superiority, the area of excellence, has to be clear to you and clear to your customers. Your area of what we call competitive advantage. What gives your product an advantage over your competitors? Imagine that a customer were to ask you that I am trying to decide whether to buy your product or this product or that product. Why should I buy your product? Why is it to my benefit or advantage to buy from you rather than from someone else? Your answer must be so quick and so clear that they say, oh, in that case, I'll buy yours. So what is your competitive advantage? And the rule is that if you don't have a competitive advantage, something that makes you superior, clearly superior to your competitors, then you must develop a competitive advantage. Okay, number six is develop a great sales process. And we will talk about that at great length a little bit later. We'll talk about that this afternoon, is a great sales process. Every top company I've worked with has got a beautiful sales process, because the first key in business is marketing, which is to attract people, but the key is to convert them into customers. They may come into your store, but you don't want them to turn around and walk out. They may agree to talk to you because of your advertising and your promotion, but you don't want them to say, well, let me think about it, and go and talk to your competitors. You want to be able to convert them. So your conversion ratio in business is the determinant of the income in your business. It's the determinant of your revenues, your profitability, your growth, and your entire future. If you can increase your conversion ratios from interested prospect to customer, you can conquer the world. And this is a learnable skill. The most important thing I've ever found about business that transformed my life is that all of these skills are learnable skills. You can learn any business skill. Well, number 7, and the 7th is something we could spend 2 or 3 semesters on, is develop a great customer experience. This is the key to the future, a great customer experience. You want customers to be happy. I will say this afternoon, but I say, what is the key to business success? It is to make your customers happy. Make them happy that they did business with you, that they bought your product or service. And everybody in your company has to be thinking, how can we make our customers happy? And then, how can you make them happier than your competitors? Because customers, almost like a moth that goes to the flame, or bee that goes to honey, customers go to the businesses that make them the happiest. And they come back over and over again.